This ESPN podcast is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com.
You are listening to the best of the Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPNNewYork.com. Hear them weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
What's going on, big boy? How are you?
I'm all right, Stephen. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. I can't complain.
ESPY's tonight in L.A., huh?
Yes, it is. And obviously, we all know how special the ESPYs are, particularly when it's in association with everything that the Jimmy V Foundation is all about. And, you know, for me personally, my personal highlight is looking forward to Stuart Scott speak tonight and accept the Courage Award. I'm looking forward to that. No question. I'm looking forward to that as well. And this is, you know, a special day for our company always, Stephen, and an important day for our company, where we have our V Foundation auction, which I know a lot of you who've been digesting ESPN on different platforms today are already somewhat aware of. But, you know, you will hear the Jimmy V speech at some point later on in the show. We'll talk with his brother, Jim Valvano, coming up shortly. But we have some amazing auction items for you guys to bid on that you can easily get to if you go to ESPN.com and you click on the auction link. You can also just call 1-800-4JIMMY-V or go to ESPN.com to donate. Just a couple items off the bat, Stephen, that are out there involving you that I think we need to make our audience aware of. And I'll tweet out the link as well so people can get to this, because there are a couple Stephen A. items that... Really? Yes. A couple Stephen A. items that close at 2 o'clock that we want to make sure people get to. And remember, when it comes to, the V Foundation, you're talking about 100% of your donation gets into the hands of the doctors who are making a difference in the fight against cancer. But here are the items, Stephen, involving you that people have a little less than an hour to bid on. First, you can attend a Knicks game with Stephen A. at the Garden. The winner and one guest will watch a 2014-15 regular season Knicks game in a suite or in prime seats with SAS. Right. Okay. Preferably the suite, though. We'll go ahead. Yeah. Preferably the suite. Which, by the way, Chris, that was at like more than $6,500. I think that was at a little bit of a short time ago, right? What's it at now? Do we know?
Yeah, it's at $8,999.
Oh my gosh!
So somebody's paid that much to go to a game with me?
Yes. Isn't that humbling?
It's very humbling, very touching. I'm honored. Seriously.
I
mean, it may not sound like that, but I am. I don't even know how to respond to something like that, but I'm happy about that.
So, and all that money goes directly to the V Foundation. So if you guys want to attend the Knicks game with Stephen A., continue to bid on that. I'll tweet out the link to that. Plus, there's one more, Stephen A., involving you that happens and closes before 2 o'clock, and that is the First Take experience with you and Skip at NBA All-Star Weekend in the city. People will get to spend the weekend in New York City at the All-Star Game and tip it off with a VIP experience surrounding your show. A winner and one guest will attend the show's production meeting on Friday, February 13th. We'll get a first-hand take of how the show is assembled. Then we'll observe the part of the show from the production truck and part of the show from VIP seats on the set. And afterwards, they'll be able to chat it up with you, Skip, and Kerry. Also be able to take some photos and get some custom First Take gear. But the weekend just getting started, you're also provided with a pair of tickets to All-Star Saturday Night, which includes the skills competition. And, obviously that's going to be fun at Barclays Center. And then on Sunday, you attend the All-Star Game at the Garden. So that's a tremendous package. It's First Take and it's the NBA All-Star Game all wrapped into one. Both of those involving Stephen A. They've been going on, but they close at 2 o'clock. So we wanted to make sure to get those out now so that people can donate. But, Stephen, you and I obviously are no different than anybody else, where this day hits close to home because we all have people in our lives who've been affected by cancer, and we all will continue to.
Well, everybody knows, I don't sit there and broadcast that it's not something my family wants or anything like that. But, in terms of elaboration, everybody knows what, I've been dealing with over the last 3 years in terms of my mother battling cancer. And, she's winning the fight thus far, but it has been a battle I've lost 2 relatives, an aunt and an uncle, to cancer. It's something that is just, words can't describe the level of agony that it's capable of inflicting upon a family, not just because of people passing away, but the battles they have to endure in the process of moving on to a better place. Just witnessing some of the things that we witness and knowing the trials and tribulations somebody has to endure. I know that has been incredibly tough. My mother is a warrior in every sense of the word. She's my everything. She's the greatest woman that I've ever known. She's the toughest woman that I've ever known. And it has required every bit of her feistiness, her fight, her strength, etc., to put forth this battle, this valiant battle that she's been putting forth all of these years. And, I just, no matter what level of love and respect that I had for her throughout my entire life, words can't describe how much it's elevated exponentially. It's something that moves me every day. She's my heart. She's my world. She's the reason I am who I am. She's the reason why I aspire to be better than what I am every single day of my life. And that was just by her being her. So to see her to withstand this battle the way that she has, and I know that on a day like today, she would want me to be somebody who's contributing to the fight in any small way that I possibly can. And that's why I'm here today. That's why I'm here in L.A. for the ESPY Award. That's why I'm looking forward to the courageous Stuart Scott speech tonight, which I have no doubt will be riveting. And it's why, I'm honored to be a part of the ESPN family, a family that clearly has embraced wholeheartedly the fight to battle cancer. And I tip my hat to this company, to the employees that work for this company, to the consciousness that we have, and to everybody out there going through this battle, fighting cancer, those who are suffering from it, those who have loved ones suffering from it. We're all in this together because obviously the disease has no prejudices whatsoever. It goes after everyone, and it's beat a lot of people, but the fight is still on, and it's going to continue to be on.
And it affects everybody. We know that. But the numbers, they're staggering, Stephen. When you consider that 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will receive a cancer diagnosis at some point, that is roughly 40% of the U.S. population.
Yeah.
But this is why you want to donate. The V Foundation has awarded more than $115 million in life-saving research grants. The V Foundation has awarded more than $10.9 million in breast cancer research grants. V Foundation has awarded more than $14 million to battle pediatric cancer. In 1995, the V Foundation was awarded its first grant for $229,000. Last year, $14 million. So with all of your help, the upward trend continues. You guys can donate calling 1-800-4-JIMMY-V or visit ESPN.com to donate. And there's a lot of really, really cool experiences that you can enjoy while also contributing to this obviously incredibly worthy cause. Look, a lot of us now who know people who have dealt with cancer know survivors as well, because it is in a lot of ways no longer a death sentence because of all of the money that's gone into the research and the strides that have been made in fighting this disease. And it's all of our contributions that help to continue to contribute that and allow those numbers of survival to go up. I know my grandpa, he has survived colon cancer as well as prostate. One of my best friend's dads got over prostate. One of my good friends in college dealt with cancer, Tim Bassett, and he has come back stronger than ever and is a father now. And all of these, obviously we all have different people in our lives who have been affected one way or another by cancer, but the survival stories continue to rise with the amount of research that goes into it. So today's a day where you could donate to help that cause and at the same time can end up being a part of some cool sports experiences as well. So make sure you keep it locked here on ESPN New York, and you go online and check things out. If you go to ESPN.com, You'll see the link to the eBay auction and a lot of the different items. I just tweeted out the Stephen A. Knicks game experience. I'm about to tweet out the ESPN First Take All-Star Weekend experience with Steven, Skip, and Kerry, and then you getting to go to the NBA All-Star Game. Both of those close at 2 o'clock, so I'll tweet those out so you have a chance to bid on them now, or you can just go to ESPN.com and then find the eBay link to them. But if you want to check me out on Twitter, it's at Ryan Ruocco. And we want to hear from you guys as well today, and your stories, around this disease, your uplifting stories, and what, how cancer's touched your life and why it's important to continue to battle against it. So 1-800-919-3776 is the telephone number on the Lexus of Route 10 hotline. Bob Valvano, the brother of Jim Valvano, the V Foundation, obviously named after Jimmy Valvano. We'll hear his speech later on. Bob will join us next with Stephen A. and Ruocco on ESPN New York.
Landon Donovan on his father.
People say often that sports reveal character, and I think going through something like cancer reveals character. I learned a lot about my father through his cancer fights, and the biggest thing I learned was that there was no complaining. To some extent, you don't even know the grave danger that's involved in it, and it's really inspiring as a child of someone who's been through that to realize that they care so much about you that they're gonna make sure that you're sheltered from that while they go through the biggest fight of their life.
The 10th annual ESPY Day Auction, benefiting the V Foundation for Cancer Research. To donate or to bid, log on to ESPN.com.
Great thoughts from Landon Donovan here. Stephen A. Smith, Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. You'll hear the Jim Valvano speech coming up in about 7-8 minutes, which, we all hear the famous clip at the end, don't give up, don't ever give up, but there is so much gold in those words, so you'll want to make sure to listen to that, because I'm sure there are some of you who've forgotten some of the other parts of that speech that aren't always replayed, and it really is terrific. And just some of the numbers again, Stephen. 1 in 2 men, 1 in 3 women will receive a cancer diagnosis.
It's scary,
at some
man.
point.
It's scary. About the only thing, the good thing you can say about it is that it doesn't discriminate. We're all in it together. The bad part about it is that chances are, think about the people you see every day, the people you talk to, the people you work with. Essentially, that somebody that you're communicating with on an everyday basis is going to come up with cancer, according to those statistics. And that's pretty scary.
Well, think 1 in 2 men. That means you or me.
Yes.
Yes. Right? I mean, that's how real those numbers are. And so today is a chance for all of us to contribute in the fight against that. You can call 1-800-4JIMMY-V or go to ESPN.com to donate. There are a lot of really, really great auction items as well. And 100% of the proceeds, as you just heard from Bob Valvano, go to the fight against cancer. They go to cancer research, actually get into the hands of the doctors who are making that difference. It's a 4-star charity, which is 4 out of 4 by Charity Navigator, which is a large evaluator of charities, so your money is actually going to the place that you hope it is. I've several people have tweeted at me, Diego, KM Port 531, Heather Ferrara, Justin Sheffield, Shaco 717, all tweeting about losing close family members to them via cancer, and what an important day this is. And obviously, as Stephen said, we're all in this together. We are all affected by this, whether it's us directly or friends of ours, family members of ours. So continue to donate it. And the couple Stephen A. specific experiences that close at 2 o'clock, I tweeted out how you can bid on them. Attending a Knicks game with Stephen A. and then being a part of First Take NBA All-Star Weekend. So you can go to my Twitter at Ryan Ruocco, RyanRuocco, and see those experiences, or just go to ESPN.com. And look, there's a Rex Ryan signed autograph football. There's an awesome experience where you could play tennis with John McEnroe and then attend the women and men's final of the U.S. Open. There's Geno Smith autograph football. There's a million creative, unique, very cool sports experiences. So make sure you go online and check it out. Coach Kev in Jersey, one of our favorite callers. Coach Kev, you're on the Lexus of Route 10 hotline.
Well, it's always a pleasure to speak with you guys today, especially a pleasure with everything that's going on with the Jimmy V Foundation. I thought I'd just kind of call to to kind of chime in a little bit. Coach Valvano, one of those guys who played a direct influence in me becoming a basketball coach. One of the things our program does every year is we have a shoot-a-thon probably late December, and we donate 100% of the proceeds right to the Jimmy V Foundation. Wow. It's something that we'll continue to do. It's something that, I'd encourage other, programs to do all around. And it's important, and it's affected, obviously, the numbers that you guys gave, 1 and 2. It's affected someone in our program. It's affected people in all programs. So today definitely a special day for me. And, it's a great day to celebrate a brilliant man, just not a basketball coach, but a brilliant man.
And you know what, Coach Kev? I think that's exactly what Jim Valvano would have hoped for. And we just heard Bob kind of talk about it. The people who it's directly motivated to contribute and make a difference when you consider that the money for cancer research had not escalated at all any years. You heard Bob Valvano tell us from the mid-'70s, I believe he said, up until 1993. And then the way it has grown since then. It's remarkable. And Jim Valvano's speech and the V Foundation has had a lot to do with that, no doubt, Stephen.
No question about it. Awareness is what it's all about. It just shows the importance of awareness when, some people think that, you're just trying to promote something or you just want publicity for it and that's why you're talking about it. Well, obviously with something like this, it's far more profound. You're trying to make a difference, but it just shows the power of awareness because when you talk about the issues that we face as a nation and as a world as it pertains to cancer, it's one thing to say, well, cancer is a debilitating disease. It's not discriminating. It's doing such harm to our society. It's taking out so many people, so many loved ones. It's another thing entirely to attach those kind of numbers. 1 in every 2 men, 1 in every 3 women. I mean, think about how profound that is. Think about, does it get more serious than that? I can't imagine that it does.
Stephen A. Smith, Ryan Ruocco with you on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. Continue to donate. You can call 1-800-4-JIMMY-V or visit ESPN.com. I want you guys to hear Jimmy V's speech. You may not have heard it in full in a while, and it is certainly something worth listening to. You'll get that chance next on ESPN New York.
Thanks for listening to the best of the Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPNNewYork.com. Be sure to listen weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
The next big thing, the next new kid, the next overnight sensation, the next rookie, one to watch, the next Hall of Famer, the next intimidator, the next 6-time, the next king. Next. Who's next? Let's find out. Names are made here. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Chicago, Saturday at 8 Eastern on ESPN2.
This ESPN podcast is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com.
You are listening to the best of the Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPNNewYork.com. Hear them weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. ESPY Day Auction benefiting the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Do you want to hold your fantasy football draft with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and ESPN expert Matthew Berry? Bidding on the ultimate fantasy football experience ends this hour. To bid or donate, go to ESPN.com right now.
That's right. That is a really awesome experience. How about that? Having your fantasy football draft with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and fantasy expert Matthew Berry. That's just a cool, creative, unique experience.
It is. Matthew Berry is the joint with that.
Oh, he knows
the man.
His stuff. And if you go to ESPN.com and you click on the eBay auction link, you will see so many of these incredibly creative experiences that you can bid on with 100% of the proceeds going to the V Foundation and getting into the hands of the doctors who make a difference in the fight against cancer here on Stephen A. Smith, Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPN New York. We heard from Bob Valvano earlier today, and somebody who is equally passionate about this cause and so important and interesting to listen to on this day. Dick Vitale joins us now on the Lexus of Route 10 Celebrity Hotline. How are you today, Dickie V?
Dickie
I'm
V.
doing really great, guys. Stephen A. and Ryan. I just realized one thing, Stephen A. and Ryan. I got fired by the Pistons. I know why I got fired, man. My backcourt were talented like you two guys. They weren't Isaiah and Joe Dumas, and I know you two guys can't play a lick.
You're right about that, Dickie V. You're right about that. I can't argue with that. Listen, I'm gonna start off asking you the same question that essentially I asked Bobby. What does this day, knowing all ESPN has done, knowing what Jimmy Valvano has meant to us all as it pertains to this movement against cancer, what does this day mean to you personally, considering how well you knew him and what you've witnessed transpire over the last 20 years since he's moved on to a better place?
Well, you know, Stephen, I have so many memories of Jimmy, and what stands in my mind, one day I will never, ever forget, was right there in Bristol. I was in town. We were getting ready to do a show the next day, and we're there the day before in a hotel. Calls me up in his room. I go to his room, and we're watching a little Frank Sinatra show. And all of a sudden, Jimmy's in his shorts, and he jumps out of the bed, and I will never, ever forget it, and it just scared the heck out of me. And I just realized then what so many people go through, not only Jimmy at that time, but he got out of the bed and he started punching the wall, screaming. I said, Jimmy, what's going on? He said, take your worst toothache, run it through your body. That's what I feel every day. And a lot of people don't know this, Ryan and Stephen. The bottom line is he didn't want to use morphine. He kept putting off the morphine, because that was an admission that it was over to him, that it was done, finished. And he firmly believed when the doctor told him that only X number of percent, a very small percent, could beat the kind of cancer he had, he was under the belief that I will be in that percent that beats it. And he just wouldn't accept that. And he fought and fought and fought. And I watched that pain, and I'm going to tell you, it hit home with me. And, you know, you guys talk about raising dollars for cancer. I have my gala every year. John Saunders, the host of it, and Dan Schumann's hosted it in the past. This year, guys, we had 83 celebrities that came, 870 people at $1,000 a pop, all kinds of donations. The Four Tops was our post-gala show. Wow. And it was phenomenal. But we raised $2.1 million. But the sad part of it is, we had 3 families with us that we gave a grant in the names of their children that had died this year, who were with us the year before as one of our, what I call my Dickie V's courageous team. I introduce about 10 kids every year that are cancer survivors. 3 of them didn't make it. Lacey Holsworth, who became so close with Michigan State, and Adrian Payne, her mom and dad was with us. We had a kid with us by the name of Eddie Livingston, who lost his life, a neighbor of mine. His mom and dad was with us as well. We lost a youngster by the name of Dylan Simmons, who was with us. My point I'm making, no matter how many dollars we're raising, it's not enough. Mine is all going for kids through the V Foundation for pediatric cancer. So I beg you people out there, find an item you like. Get it. You may be saving the life of someone you love. I get so choked up, guys, when I sit with these families. I get to know these kids. People don't know these names, but I'll tell you. Peyton Wright, Johnny Tice, Dylan Simmons, Lacey Holsworth, Eddie Livingston. I mean, it goes on and on. Adrian Littlejohn. Here's a youngster. Dad played in the SEC. Asked me to speak at his funeral. As I told Mike and Mike this morning, I have spoken all over. Corporate events, black tie events, banquets, motivational speeches, all over. It was the toughest speech I ever had to give in my life. Watching little Adrian being laid to rest. Big, strong dad, African-American guy, 6'3", 240, linebacker, SEC, loses his son, asks me to speak at it, and I'm watching this big, strong guy. Man, there's nothing worse than watching a mom and dad put their child to rest. So I beg people, if you want to help in any way, my goal this year is $2 million again by May 15th. You go to my website, DickVitaleOnline.com, you can see it. But right now, our concern is the auction. Get some of these items, man. Get some of these items. I gave a package away today, 2 tickets to my gala for Friday night. Saturday, a celebrity bash at my house with all the celebrities, and just a great time, which you can't buy this. And I wanted actually more money than we got, to tell you the truth.
Well, you know what? There's so many great experiences on the website. So if you go to ESPN.com right now, you can see what Dickie V is talking about. Dick Vitale joining Stephen A. Smith, Ryan Ruocco here on ESPN New York. Dick, how about just you've been involved with this for a very, very long time. Just to give people an idea of the difference that has been made and the progress that has been made, so they know, yes, like when you donate here, it does make a difference, and you are contributing to this fight, and we really still do have a lot to go, but this is the place to try and close the gap and make that happen.
Well, let me tell you how research does work. We had a little girl that lost her life named Peyton Wright, a first neighbor of mine. That was my real first time getting so obsessed with pediatrics and with kids, because only 4% every dollar raised for research goes to kids. And, it's great. I love that it goes to breast cancer and colon and prostate. But, man, we got to do more for kids. Anyway, I vowed to raise $1 million in Peyton's name. I loved her mom and dad, her family, went to the funeral. Peyton was a beautiful little girl. And we raised the money. All my buddies didn't let me down. Well, we had a youngster in our area here by the name of Kyle Peters. Kyle was a Little League star, 10, 11 years old, came down with brain cancer. Well, his mom told us at our event that if it wasn't for the research grant that was put together for Peyton to study brain cancer in kids, if that research grant wasn't there, her son may not have made it. But because of the research that was done there, her son now is cancer-free. Wow. And that's amazing. So the research dollars work, but we sit back and we allow this disease to pound us. And I don't understand that with the wealth we have in our country. We got to give more dollars to these doctors to fight it, man. There's nothing worse. You ask a family what it does to them. What it does to them. Have a child going through that and wake up every day. You think you're going to worry about the NBA? You're going to worry about, like I do, and Steven worried about Stevenson signs with Charlotte? Oh, that's all great. You have a little child, as the father told me, 24/7. Every minute, that's all you're thinking about. Your child doing chemo and radiation. That's brutal.
We're talking to the great Dick Vitale right here with Stephen A. Ryan Ruocco on ESPN New York, 98.7 FM. We can sit here, Dickie V, and you do it better than no other in terms of inspiring so many to give to this cause. But you highlighted how much it's done, how much the money that has been generated, how beneficial it has been for cancer research and fighting against cancer. You just told a wonderful story about how it's had an impact on a particular life. As you've been able to reflect on what has transpired, particularly over the last 20 years since Jimmy V passed, can you tell us, as you've been able to reflect, did you ever think that it would make this amount of progress?
Well, I really at first, you wondered, but we got so many beautiful people involved on the board of directors. They're so passionate. Mike Krzyzewski, John Saunders, the list goes on. I mean, all these people are so dedicated. Bob Lloyd, just a phenomenal friend of Jimmy V's, and Steve Bornstein. It goes on. George Bodenheimer, and now John Skipper. These people are so dedicated to helping the cause. And it's really great, and a lot of people understand this. I mean, there's no way I'm involved if money I'm busting my gut going to go get for research, and it's going to go 40% is going to go here and there to pay this bill, that bill. The beauty of the V Foundation, we have an endowment over $17 million that off the endowment, all the expenses are paid. So every dollar you people donate for research, get these experiences Ryan was talking about and Stephen A. Go out and get one. You may help maybe a child you love or someone in your family member you love. This disease is running rampant, man. Every day I'm hearing this one out, maybe because I'm so involved, but my wife and I, we get emails from families, and it's so crushing when they share this with us, what they're going through with their child. I was just recently with Mark Herzlich. I had been honored in New York with the American Cancer Society and then by the NABC, and Mark Herzlich was there, as you all know, the former, Boston College star, now with the Giants and a cancer survivor. And he shared with me, man, give me a big hug about what he went through, that chemo and those trips to the hospital. And I mean, it's brutal. It is brutal.
Dick Vitale, outstanding perspective. I don't know that anybody could motivate and energize all of us to make moves when it comes to this disease better than you do and you have today. So thank you so much for giving us the time and for getting the message across to us and our audience, Dickie.
Well, I'll just quickly say this, guys. When I went to that Dick Vitale at All Children's Hospital, they brought all these kids out in a room, and they had me read to them one of my little books I had, and I don't make 5 cents in the book. It all goes for pediatrics. But then a buddy of mine bought $400 for the whole hospital. They all brought these kids out, and I started reading to them. And it's Arthur Run. It's a simple book for little kids, 2 to 6 years old. And I'm looking at these kids, 6, 7, 8 years old, 5. And when I got done, I said to the doctor and to the nurse, I don't understand it. They look as healthy as my grandkids. So all those kids you read to. You're talking about leukemia. You're talking about brain tumors. My God, my wife and I, we walked to our car. I got 5 healthy grandkids, and we cried like a baby. They said their parents, they're not worried about going to baseball games, football games. They sit at the bedside from 7 in the morning, as we're talking now, to 11 o'clock at night, praying for a miracle. Guys, keep doing what you're doing. Stephen A., I love your stuff, man. You keep banging away what you do in the NBA and all. I love your stuff.
Love you
guys,
too, man.
Keep doing. Get some money for us, man. People, please
We're doing
go
it.
out and bid.
You got it, Dickie V. Well said, my friend. Thank you so much for the time. That's Dick Vitale delivering a powerful message about why it is so imperative to donate on this day to the V Foundation. Our live auction, going on now, where you can go to ESPN.com. There's so many amazing experiences. I'm telling you, if you are a sports fan, you will find, whether it's an autograph or it's some piece of memorabilia or it is the most unique, creative, tailored-to-you experience you could possibly imagine, you will find it right now going on at our auction. And the great thing is your bid is just going to go to the V Foundation for Cancer Research. You win that prize, you are not only winning that prize and getting an incredible experience, but you're making a tremendous contribution to the V Foundation for Cancer Research. So go online right now to ESPN.com or make sure you call 1-800-4-JIMMY-V. Stephen A. Smith, Ryan Ruocco on ESPN New York.
You are listening to the best of the Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPNNewYork.com. Hear them weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
This ESPN podcast is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com.
You are listening to the best of the Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPNNewYork.com. Hear them weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. The 10th annual ESPY Day Auction benefiting the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Do you want to take in the Knicks game with Stephen A. Smith? Bidding on a chance to watch the Knicks in prime seats with Stephen A. ends this hour. To bid or donate, go to ESPN.com right now.
That's right, a very special day to our company and in the battle against cancer. Remember, 100% of the proceeds donated to the V Foundation get into the hands of the doctors who are making a difference in the fight against cancer. Some of the New York experiences that are up for bidding right now, if you go to ESPN.com, are a Muhammad Wilkerson signed football. That closes at 1:30. You can head on now to bid on that. We just told you about the 2 Stephen A. experiences, one attending a Knicks game with him, another in which you get to be involved in First Take, and then go to the NBA All-Star Weekend, both Saturday night and the actual All-Star Game Sunday in New York City. Those both close at 2 p.m. And you also can play on court with John McEnroe and attend the women and men's final for the 2014 U.S. Open. That is a terrific prize. That closes at 2 p.m. as well. So make sure you go to ESPN.com and you can bid now on all of the experiences with all the money going to the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Right now we welcome in a very special guest on this day especially, and that is one of our colleagues at ESPN Radio. That is Bob Valvano. You hear him hosting nationally. You hear him hosting on ESPN 680 in Louisville, as well as covering college basketball for ESPN, and he is, of course, the brother of Jim Valvano, and he joins us now on the Lexus of Route 10 Celebrity Hotline. Hello there, Bob. How are you?
Hey, guys, thank you so much for having me, and thanks so much for your enthusiasm for this. It comes across on the air. It's wonderful. Stephen A., thanks so much for your experiences. I'm awed and humbled at this whole thing, and it's wonderful to be able to visit with you about it.
Thank you so much, Bob. Talk to us about what this night means to you and what it has meant to you all of these years, particularly since it's fed off the inspiration your brother provided to us all.
Well, there's a lot of things that are through my head, but I'll try and be brief. One is Bob Costa said to me once something that has stayed with me. He said he thinks ESPN had its full force behind these ESPYs, and they would have taken hold anyway. But he said to me, I'm not sure you appreciate how much your brother's speech gave it a gravitas that it wouldn't have had otherwise. It would have taken a longer time to have had some substance to it. It would have been kind of a silly award show for a long time, and then maybe when it got a little history and tradition. But right out of the chute, that first year, and I don't think I'm being immodest, it's not my speech. I think that, Lou Gehrig's speech and maybe Jim's speech right now, maybe the two most famous sports speeches we have in history. I don't think that's overstating it. I get texts all the time from kids in 8th grade that they have to do famous speeches and they want to do Jim's speech. I got one literally today. A guy in Utah told me that he was asked he's a teacher, and his students asked him to be the graduation speaker, and they had to pick a quote, and he took the Jim's, you need to do 3 things every day. You need to laugh, think, and cry, and it's very touching. So I'm moved by that. I'm moved by how many people in all walks of life got involved in this. We thought it might be a college basketball thing when it started, and yet, I'm hearing experiences there with John McEnroe. We've got tennis people, football people, baseball people, hockey people. It's incredible how many people in all walks of life want to be part of it, and I'm amazed that a company, and I don't care if it sounds like a kiss-up, I really don't give a damn. I mean, ESPN's involvement in this is amazing to me. From the top, the very, very top, all the way down to interns that so enthusiastically really get involved in this. It's amazing. And the other thing, guys, is we're making a difference. I'm not sure people know. I mean, if you talk to the scientists, we're making a difference. It's incredible the progress they're making. What used to take literally 10 years to do before they had all these computer simulations and everything and research, they do in 4 months now. So they do 10 years of research where it used to be years ago. They do in 4 months now. So believe me, every day we're making a big difference in this fight.
No question. The $115 million that's been awarded in research grants since 1993 has actually leveraged more than $1 billion in additional funding. So it has sparked huge contributions leading to exactly what Bob's talking about. Bob Valvano joining Stephen A. Smith, Ryan Ruocco here on ESPN New York. Bob, what do you think your brother would think of what has transpired with all of this since his speech?
You know what, Ryan? That's a great point, because another thing I look at is anybody who knew Jimmy, that speech was very inspiring and moving, but honestly, he was funny, too. And he liked fun, and he liked people. I told people for years one of the most meaningful things for me is at his funeral, just being quite candid with you, when I was down in North Carolina, I still remember the line of people waiting to show their respect past the casket. I look up and there's it's like Digger Phelps talking to Roy Williams or something, and right behind the two of them was some guy who just got off his shift at Wendy's, with the ketchup stain on his shirt, and Jim would have loved that. Let's throw them all together. There's no difference. I'm so thrilled whenever somebody comes up to me at ESPN and says, I was here when I just started at ESPN when your brother was here. I was an intern, and he treated me the same way he treated anybody else on the staff, and that means a lot to me. So he would love this. He would love that we're raising money and we're doing it in a way that people are having fun, and we're giving fans a chance to be part of these events in ways quite literally they could not any other way. I think he would be really, really proud, not only of what we're doing, but how we're doing it.
One of the things that I've often wondered about, Bobby, I mean, you know, I lost my brother. My brother passed away in a car accident in 1992. But I think about him all the time. And, you know, when I think about others, you know, through their generosity, their heartfelt thoughts, etc., that do things that make me remember something about him, I'm glad. It makes me smile, but it also gives me a moment to pause, and it's heartbreaking because it reminds me about how much I miss him. What about you personally and what you go through? Because I imagine times like this, to see the inspiration that your brother has given the world, as far as I'm concerned, it's an incredible, incredible thing. But he was still your brother. And I imagine, I can only imagine how much you miss him based on how much I miss mine.
Yeah, I was going to say, Stephen A., that's a great point. You have the empathy for having gone through it with your brother. Because there's almost a calendar. There's not almost, there is. There's a calendar now where I almost feel like I visit with him about 3 or 4 times a year. This is one of those days, you know, for the 2 days. I'm here in L.A., and all these people, sometimes a lot of people here I see once a year. I see here, you know, and it's part of this. And then we go to December, when you've got the Jimmy V Classic and the Jimmy V Week, which is now 2 weeks. So, you know, there's pretty much he comes back again there, and I visit with him there. And then, you know, for better or worse, he's always going to be associated with March Madness. That win over Houston, which was what really catapulted him on the national stage, is still discussed. And they every year that CBS has the game, and there's a little clip of him running around like an idiot on the floor looking for somebody to hug, you know, and I go back to that moment. So you're right. In a way, it's great because it keeps him alive for me, and it makes me revisit some happy moments. He was one of the funniest human beings I've ever met, and would make me laugh and, you know, take over rooms, and I'll remember those things. But it's funny you say that about the emotional part of it, because at each of those junctures, I'm exhausted when they're over. I really am. I mean, when these 2 days are over, by the end of this week, it's exhausting, and Jimmy V, the end of those 2 weeks is exhausting, and March Madness is exhausting emotionally. I mean, emotionally, because it is. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, and fortunately, more people, I think, are of the belief that if they don't have something good to say, they keep their mouths shut. So most people who come up to me in those 3 venues will say, I met your brother at a speech, or I was at a game and he said this or he did that. Not many people come up and say, I got to tell you, I thought your brother was an idiot. I mean, not many people do that. So it's a very pleasant revisiting at those 3 times of the year. But as you can relate with your brother, when I'm sure people do that with you, it's exhausting at the end. It is. So I'm glad to have the experience to do it, but it's a very emotional few days. And I don't think, you know, I've seen the speech so many times now in different venues. I don't know that it makes me, you know, stop and cry, but I'm not immune to it by any stretch. I remember that day. I mean, he literally, the morning of those first ESPYs, we had no idea if he was going to be able to make it to the arena, let alone get on the stage. And anybody who's seen the video sees him helped up the stage, and then afterwards, even worse, down the stairs, you know, Mike Krzyzewski, and he told Mike before that, he said, Mike, come up and get me. He said, don't let me embarrass myself coming down, and because it was really, really touch and go whether he'd even be able to make it. And then all of a sudden, you know, we used to joke in our house when Jim opened the refrigerator door and the light came on, he did 5 minutes of stand-up, you know. So when he got on the stage, he was back in his element, and it was wonderful to see. But it was a really, really dicey situation. So I never take it for granted, even watching it now. It's still very inspiring.
We're talking with Bob Valvano here on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. Bob, if there was, you know, one thing you wanted to make sure people understood about this day and the V Foundation and their contributions, what would it be?
Well, I think the one thing we're very proud of is that we worked very, very hard for the better part of 8 or 9 years to raise enough money so that we can run the foundation basically off of the endowment. We have an endowment with enough interest now that off of that we can run all the expenses of the foundation. So that if you write a check today for $8 or $8,000 or anything in between, every penny of the direct donations goes right to cancer research and cancer-related programs. And that is a really wonderful, wonderful thing. I mean, we don't take for granted any money that comes in. We know how hard people work for it and how meaningful it is to get it. And so to know that when it comes in, we are going to give the absolute maximum bang for that buck to what the people are giving it for. They're giving it because they want to fight cancer. They're not giving it for any other types of expenses. I mean, they understand that there are other ones that are part of running an organization like this, but we got to the point where we're able to cover those expenses through the endowment. So any donation, any straight cash donation, all of it goes right to cancer research and cancer-related programs. We have a 4-star rating from Charity Navigator, which is that independent group that assesses, how effectively people in these nonprofits manage their resources, and we're very proud of that. So I'd love people to know that you can have some great experiences here, and I hope you'll take advantage of these auction items, and you go watch a Knick game with Stephen A. and all those unique things that are wonderful. But on top of that, if you can't, or in addition to that, if you want to make a donation, that every penny of that donation goes right to cancer research, which is what this was started for in Jim's mind. When Jim and ESPN talked about this, he was flabbergasted there was so little money. And there really was, guys. I don't know if you know this. In real dollars, from mid-1970s to when Jim got cancer in the mid-1990s, the amount of money that was earmarked for research had not changed 1 cent, despite the fact that over 500,000 Americans die of cancer every year. And he was, as a coach, that's ridiculous. Look, having a team where we don't have a power forward and then not recruiting a power forward for 10 years. I mean, that's crazy. You do what your team needs. So we need money for research. That's why he started this, and that's what this is all about. And to know that a donation, all of that, goes right to research now, I think it would make Jim very proud. That makes us on the board very proud as well.
Bob, absolutely terrific perspective. Thank you so much for lending it with us on this day, and we will make sure to continue to push this very important message.
Well, we're grateful to you,
Thank you,
guys.
Bobby.
I mean that very much. Appreciate it very, very much, and all the listeners out there who've supported us, thanks to them as well. Very grateful.
Thank you.
You got it, Bob. That is Bob Valvano, ESPN radio colleague of ours. You hear him nationally on the network. You hear him on 680 in Louisville, and he also does great college basketball work for the family as well, and the brother of Jim Valvano, doing a great job of outlining why this day is so important and the progress that has been really, truly, tangibly made in this fight over the years is remarkable. So you can continue to donate. You can do so by calling 1-800-4-JIMMY-V or visit ESPN.com to donate. Any donation is outstanding, no matter what it is. Look, if you make a $20 donation, you get entered into a raffle for a Super Bowl trip, 5 days, 4 nights in Arizona. That includes all kinds of amazing things. Tickets to the Friday night ESPN party, tickets to the NFL Honors Awards ceremony on the Saturday night, the tailgate party, which is my favorite party every year, on Sunday, and then tickets to the game at University of Phoenix Stadium. So just with a $20 donation at ESPN.com, you get entered into that raffle for that prize. And there's so many great items you can bid on. Plus, just know that every dollar you donate is going towards the fight against cancer and towards research. So continue to check those out on ESPN.com and by calling 1-800-4-JIMMY-V. You guys want to share your experiences dealing with cancer as well. We always enjoy the connectivity that we all have during a time like this with these kind of discussions. So 1-800-919-3776 is the telephone number on the Lexus of Route 10 hotline. It's Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Ruocco on ESPN New York.
You are listening to the best of the Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPNNewYork.com. Hear them weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.